Welcome back to another edition of Hanging with the Howards. I'm Brian Howard, joined alongside.
Wow, you sound so, robust. I'm sorry. You scared me there for a minute. Thought I was like in a game or something. I'm sorry.
So,
Continue on.
what's your name?
Hey, everybody. I'm Tish. I'm sorry. His voice was so strong. It's just kind of like, wow.
It did. It jumped out of there like a cannon, you know. But anyways, welcome back to another edition. Again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. And don't be shy. Don't be shy out there. I know you want to leave a comment. I know you do.
Yeah.
Do it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, but leave a comment. I know you want to. Just go ahead and do it. Tell us we're the favorites. We get it. Thank you.
Yeah. We know. You're
but
welcome.
but in this episode, it is the adventures of buying a house.
Oh,
Boy, this we could tackle for like hours, I'm sure, with
yes.
plenty of profanity, I'm sure, for me, but not for you. Um, but yes. So, Tish, how is it like? How did it start? Because like for me, the last time I bought a house was like 2004, maybe 2003, somewhere
Mhm.
along that range, right? And I sold that particular house in South Carolina.
Mhm.
But, you know, here I am. I've moved so many times, obviously, for my job. You've moved for me now. And now we're in a really good spot here in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yes. So, of course, nothing that we've ever done since we've met have been conventional, traditional, however you want to call it. So, the whole process just kind of started like almost on a whim. I'm heading out to San Diego, and I think maybe a month or two earlier, you had said, "Hey, what do you think about us maybe buying a house here? Eventually, we both like it here. We like our jobs, we like the area. What do you think about buying a house here?" So I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, sure, I like it here. Pretty close to family. I can drive, and get there pretty easy." So that was kind of that, and then so I'm heading to San Diego the end of May, and the house a couple of houses down from us came up for sale. So I was like, oh, okay. So I looked it up, not really thinking anything about it. So I was like, well, we'll look at it, if you want to when I get back. Um, well, in the meantime, that house got an offer on it probably within like a few days. Like that house was gone. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, not a big deal. But once we got back from Vegas, things just kind of just took a life of its own, and we just kind of just started looking in the area just to see initially like what was out there. And so we kind of went from what was out there to, oh yeah, we getting something. So that's just kind of how our relationship, marriage, what it has been from the beginning. So this really shouldn't be a surprise. But yeah,
Yeah.
this is how it started pretty much.
And I will echo that. So when you were in San Diego, obviously the house a couple doors down went on the market, and I thought, man, that looks like a really nice house. And again, you could see something from the outside of anything, whether it's a person, a
Hmm.
school, and but you don't know what it's like on the inside,
Hmm.
right? And so obviously that house had gone up for sale and was quickly sold, or under contract, whatever. So in a way, I was kind of disappointed because, like, all right, well, it's on the way. We're getting ready to go to Vegas. We come back from Vegas, and immediately, like that, we landed on a Thursday. On Friday, we went to the movies, and on Saturday, we started looking at houses. And you became best friends with like one of the realtors. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a joke, actually. She really didn't. But so we put out a feeler. There was a couple houses in the neighborhood, and we went and looked at two of those houses. I mean, they were like one was like right here, and the other one was like two doors down. So it was pretty simple. But we looked at two houses, and it was kind of giving us like this feel of like, all right, stability, what we're looking for,
Mhm.
how we're looking for it. And so then we met with another realtor at another house where the house I thought was really nice. The only problem was that the washer and dryer unit would be in the garage of like this. What was it? A three-story house,
3 story.
three-story house. But I mean, it had plenty of room, plenty
Yeah.
of room. But like within like that house went on sale on Friday and it was sold under contract starting on that Saturday. So
Yeah.
Saturday like late afternoon.
So
Uh,
what we found was that in this area, Huntsville, what a year or two ago, was like the number one place to stay, best place to stay, like in the country. I think it did drop a few places down. I think last year or this year or whatever. So like this area is booming, and so what we weren't expecting was for houses to sell so quickly.
right.
So it's one of those where if a house is in a pretty, well, most every house that we've looked at so far has been in a nice area, but the houses, if they're especially in particular areas, I mean, we didn't realize how quick they actually go. Like if it hits the market like today, it's a good possibility it's gonna be under contract by Monday. So it's like when you look for a house here, you have to be ready, like offer letter in hand, ready to make an offer if you find something that you really like. Um, so we're like in South Huntsville right now, and we like this area. We're very close to shopping, food places. So we like this area. So we started, in South Huntsville first. And we thought initially we looked at probably what 4 or 5 houses, and we thought we had found the house of our dreams in South Huntsville.
Absolutely. Without a doubt, we looked at it. Well, you had saw it online on what was it like a Friday? No, on a Thursday. We went and saw it on Friday. They had an open house on a
Hmm.
Saturday, which all right, let me break this down, okay? There was an open house from what was it? From like uh 11 to 1 or
I think
12 to
so.
2, something like that, right? It was
Hmm.
a 2-hour window. And when we got to the open house, there were like 4 cars there, 3 cars there,
Hmm.
whatever it was, right? But the agent wasn't there. Like nobody was there. Like, and so I thought that that was a bad taste, but that's neither here nor there for that particular company. Not gonna write them out because I can't remember honestly.
I can't either. I
However,
agree.
because we like that house so much, like we went through our proper channels with the company, the lending company that of our choosing to kind of go, can we get a pre-approval letter? And so like we put that in on Saturday afternoon and by we had an event Saturday night and by Saturday night we were and what we thought was approved through it
Hmm.
was met through some stages, but it was approved. So we were excited, like we were super excited. And
Right.
so on Sunday, I think we had looked at another house on Sunday or looked at a couple other houses
Hmm.
on Sunday, but we put our offer in at this house in South Huntsville, and I
Hmm.
mean, we absolutely loved it,
Yeah.
and it was single story, fit the mold to a T of what we were looking for.
Hmm.
Had a great refrigerator.
Who's
Had a.
into refrigerators? I don't know what it is,
It's
but
just because I don't want to buy one,
okay.
but it had a bonus room. I mean, it was like perfect, a sunroom.
Sunroom. Oh,
So
it's beautiful.
like it was a perfect look. And so we put an offer in because we're like, oh well, we're approved. And we went and signed through this particular agent. We
Hmm.
signed some paperwork and thought we were doing the right things through this particular agent.
Hmm.
And that was on Sunday. That week was nothing but aggravating and miserable,
It
if you
was
ask me.
horrible, horrible, horrible. I will say I do have some real estate experience, but even if you don't have real estate experience, I will say always trust your gut.
Trust it.
And if something don't feel right, you need to question and verify again. Because if I would have followed my gut, then we could have avoided the whole mess. But being that we are people of faith, we believe everything happens for a reason. But during that week, it was bad. It was really, really bad. Yeah.
And one of my things was like we had specifically said we're going with this one lender. We had questions. We had addressed questions. I think one of the nice parts about you is you do have that real estate background. So when I have a question, like I'm always going to you for that
Mhm.
question. And then you might tell me something and I might go look it up just in case because I want that
Mhm.
knowledge base, right? And so that whole week was aggravating because I felt like the agent was trying to push us on to somebody. It wasn't, in my opinion, wasn't looking out for our best interest. All right. I understand agents got a million things to do. I felt like these people want money, whatever the case was. But at the end of the day, we're the buyer, we're the consumer in this particular situation. And so we got the Friday, and essentially Friday, this house had two or three bids on this house
Mhm.
at this point, and the sellers got to move. Like
Yeah.
they're like, all right, well, where are you at in this process? They couldn't wait any longer. They couldn't wait till Monday or Tuesday,
Mhm.
and so they had to move forward. And trust me when I tell you that come that Friday night, I was
The
hot.
rat of Brian Howard came out.
I was hot. Now, in full disclosure, I did not cuss.
Very professional. Very
So
professional. Yes.
when I get mad or when I get upset, I do tend to get a little loud, but I did not cuss at the agent. I mean, I was very respectful, but I felt like we were sold a bag of goods, right? And I wanted to let that agent know that we were sold a bag of good, false goods. And, I had no faith in him and his company. Um, the agent came back a couple days later, obviously apologized or whatever, still wanted to work with us. But I think with you, and it was more your decision than mine. I felt like, all right, fine, whatever. You were just willing to part ways.
Yeah, it was just going to be awkward at that point. Not to get into a lot of detail, but I do want to use this particular segment to educate a little bit.
Absolutely.
Um, Basically, our issue was, and I want to help somebody to avoid this, in the future. According to our particular lender, which I guess we shouldn't really disclose, but according to our lender,
Right.
um, we were on our way to getting the pre-approval letter. Okay, so if we would have waited and sent in our contract like a day or two later, it would have been an issue because in our particular situation, our agent advised me to upload our contract,
Right.
our real estate contract, right? So never, ever, ever,
Never, ever, ever, ever.
ever upload a real estate contract without all signatures, buyers, sellers, and I would even say agents and their brokers.
Absolutely.
Because in our particular situation, because our not offer letter, our pre-approval wasn't totally complete when we sent in our contract before the pre-approval letter was done. Our lender tied that pre-approval letter to that particular house.
Yep.
So basically, what that did was it started like a federal timeline. And what we didn't know was we didn't know that the seller and the agents were not going to sign off on the contract until we got the pre-approval letter. So now we're in trouble. We're in a catch 22 because we can't get the pre-approval letter now until all parties have signed the contract. The other party won't sign the contract until we get the pre-approval letter. So that left us in a lose-lose situation.
Absolutely.
So there was absolutely nothing we could do because the seller would not sign without the letter, and the lender would not give the letter without the signature.
Right.
So always make sure that all parties are in agreement, all parties have signed off, or make sure you have your pre approval letter in hand first before you send in a contract. So that pretty much was our situation. And, the agent did apologize, saying that I guess with other lenders, they will allow that. But he, I guess in his mind, he wanted us to go ahead and just hurry up and send something in before, I guess before other people started sending offers in or whatever. I don't know what the reasoning was, but if I would have trusted my gut, because I was like, when, can you send me a copy of the signed contract? He was like, oh no, just send it in. But he didn't tell us that they weren't going to sign it until we got the pre-approval letter. So it was just a mess. It was like the week from
Absolutely. And
where. So
so everything kind of trans happened, through this particular week and weekend. So now we're moving to a new week, and we
mhm,
get to Monday, and I think it was Monday or Tuesday when we got approved our pre-approval
mhm,
letter from the lender.
mhm,
And there was a thought process, I think, through the both of us. Like, I don't know if we should go through with this. Like,
mhm,
and you're like, well, we can look. We don't have to find something right now. We don't have to move right now.
mhm.
I mean, this thing is good for 90 days, right?
Yeah.
And so we decided, with this particular lender, they have a program. And so we were able to use this program to find an agent. And so we found an agent. We said, okay, well, we're in South Huntsville and we see these five houses that we would like to go look at on Friday. And then on Saturday, we got these others around Huntsville that we would
Mhm,
like to go
mhm,
look at. So we meet with her on Friday. The first house we looked at, the inside,
mm.
not so good, but the
Kind
outside,
of deceiving a little bit, but the
yeah,
pictures were kind of right, I guess,
yeah,
technically.
and the outside wasn't bad. I mean,
Yeah,
it
the outside was good.
had three sheds, and like one was so big it could be used for an
Yeah,
Airbnb,
it was like a
right?
shop. Yeah, it was really nice.
So then we go to the second house, and it's a two-story house, and it was like really nice.
Hmm.
It really was. Had kind of like this like little mysterious extra room, bonus room,
Hmm.
whatever upstairs, but overall it wasn't bad. But again, like we're kind of looking for single level, but it's giving us some ideas of like pulling from like, hey, we like this particular house for this and this, all that. So we go to the third house on this particular list, and nice house. Again, it's a three-story house, nice house, but the bedroom was downstairs on the very bottom level, and
Hmm.
but and so was the washer and dryer unit, but like there was just it just wasn't level. All right. So
Yeah.
we go to the fourth house, and we love the fourth house because of the backyard. Right. The backyard was really nice. I felt like they had done a great job, but there was one problem, one catch to this one particular house, and it was the washer and dryer are in the garage.
Yeah, that was the only drawback to that house.
The neighborhood was nice,
Yeah.
but I felt like the neighbors themselves, one in particular, like cars coming and going.
Yeah.
So it was a little sketchy, but nice
Mm.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
So then we go and look at the fifth house, which all we did was get probably an inch into the door and say, no, no.
I immediately started like itching. So I was like,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. For where this house is in a particular neighborhood and the house being sold for this one particular price, and the fact that they let that house go to shreds, I mean, it was terrible. It was bad. Right. So that was on like a Friday. Saturday, we had been looking at this one particular house nonstop. And so we go to take a look at it, and it's the number one house that on Saturday that we're going to look at. We got like four stops, and this is the first one. And we go in, and it's everything as advertised,
Yeah.
literally as advertised. We both fell in love with this particular house, but we still got three other houses to go look at. So we go to this other house in another development, walk in, and there's security cameras.
Yeah.
There's like literally a monitor in the living room and has security cameras to the
Yeah.
driveway and inside the house. So then we walk in the bathrooms and they got the per cell hanging on the wall,
Yeah.
right? That and then you go to the master, same thing, but a hair dryer hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
Felt like I was at a hotel.
Yeah. It was like hotel. I mean, it was like some OCD something going on there.
So then the last two houses that we looked at were in developments,
New houses.
new houses, new
Mhm.
developments. And what I didn't like was every single house is a cookie cutter. It all looks the same to me. You know, from the outside to the inside, they all look the same. There's, in my opinion, no originality, and I shouldn't be surprised, right? But there was just no originality. But Tish liked those houses. All right.
I just like the thought of staying somewhere brand new, like nobody's ever been in before. Like we will be able to go in and just like make it our own. Nobody's ever lived there. It was just that thought for me. The house, like you said, wasn't really anything special. You know, they had like the white walls and all of that that you could easily paint, but it was just to me, I don't think, no, I've never lived in anything like brand new. So yeah, that was just a thought for me. That was just intriguing.
So
Something new.
so on the drive home from all this, I'm kind of bummed because like obviously I want that first house we saw on that Saturday, and she wants, what in my opinion, she wants one of these new houses, right? Because nobody's ever lived in it, right? So I'm trying to figure out, well, how do I get my way, right? How do I win in this particular situation, right? So this is how it happened. I went, took a shower, and then when I came out of the shower, I told her, look, I will put my pride aside, and if that's what you want, if that's the house you want, I'm okay with it. Now, guys, I need you to listen. I need you to pay attention to this, okay? Sometimes you gotta learn to lose. All right. You just gotta learn to lose. It's just plain and simple. If you love your woman enough, sometimes you gotta put that pride down, put that ego aside, and learn to lose. Okay. I was willing to do that.
Yes, he was supposed.
No, I was willing to do it. And you know what she said? No, I like that house too. I like that house. So that starts this whole new trend of, oh, well, all right, well, we want this particular house. And our agent kind of knew that anyway, based on the conversations that we
Mhm.
had. So that particular house had an open house on that Sunday. So we were going to go by the fact that we weren't going to put an offer in until after the open house. However, the agent called us on that Saturday night and said, "Hey, I know you guys are really interested in the house. Why don't you just put an offer in?" And essentially, the other agent didn't want to do the open house. It was kind of funny,
Mhm.
but so we ended up putting this offer in on Saturday. Fast forward to Sunday, and again, I want the refrigerator. As Tish said, I don't know why he don't want to part with refrigerators, but it's a really nice refrigerator. It's like $3,000 refrigerator, right? So That's money I ain't got to spend, you know.
That's true.
So essentially, we put an offer in. The seller didn't want to accept it because he didn't want to part ways with the refrigerator initially,
Hmm.
right? So then we come back and say, well, this is our offer. The seller comes back and says, well, I was going to accept the offer, but I talked to my family and they think that we are pulling a fast one on them.
Yeah, like we're trying to get over. We're asking for too much. Want too much for too little, I guess.
So I tell our agent, this is the best offer that we have, period. And he needs to stay on planet Earth if he wants this house to be sold. It had already been on the market for like 30 days.
And that's a long time for Huntsville.
So I said, I'm more than willing to walk away and it could stay on the market for another 30 days for all I care. So that was on Sunday. We kind of left it at that. I went to bed mad. Tish went to bed probably like, man, I got to deal with my husband being mad. I didn't sleep hardly at all. She didn't hardly sleep at all. Essentially, Tish, you wanted off the roller coaster,
I
didn't
was
you?
done. I just because I pray all the time, and I had prayed about this house, and I was like, if it's meant to be, it's gonna happen, and it just we're just constantly it's going back and forth, back and forth. Oh, his family said no, that y'all are trying to get over on him. And then we'll say, well, what about this? Oh no, what if we take out the refrigerator? Well, if we take out the refrigerator, then I mean, it's like, no, I'm tired of this game. Tell them we are done. I had just, made up in my mind, whatever. I'm not dealing with it anymore. If y'all want to keep talking about it, fine. I'm done.
So,
Brian kept going back and forth with this age stuff. I was like, I don't care at this point. I'm finished. I'm done. I'm tired of stressing about it. Take me off.
so fast forward. That was on Sunday, right? Monday, I get up and I'm just not in a good mood, right? I'm mad because I'm trying to figure out how to get this house, right? Because it's a good house, and we could see ourselves in it. And I don't want to miss out on something after we had just missed out, like on another house, right? So we had another booking with the agent at another house that we had taken a tour on the open house,
Mhm.
right? And so we go through the tour and everything, or we go through the house with the agent and everything, and we're standing inside. It's the agent, her husband, just having a good conversation. And I said, what if we propose this amount but without the refrigerator? Sometimes you got to learn to win, but make them feel like the winner, even though we're really winning. And so I really was like, I'll take the L. I'll lose in this situation, but really win because I'm getting the house. And I know darn well he's thinking that we're trying to get something over on him. But if we say, hey, you can have the refrigerator, we just want it at this price, then he would be fine. And the agent knew we weren't going to walk away from it either. Tish wanted off this dang roller coaster, but she looked at me like I was dang crazy. But there was a method to my madness, which was we were negotiating, right? And I had to find a way to, again, I didn't want to miss out on the house, right? But I wanted the opportunity to at least present my case. If he didn't want to part ways with the refrigerator, well, how about we suggest that and then go this route? So we suggested, he's fine with it, but then we said, well, what about at this particular amount? And we take the refrigerator. After a couple days of back and forth, well, not back and forth, but after a day, sure enough, he took the deal.
Finally took the deal. At that point, I was just like, yay. No, I was just so over it at that point. And I will say this. Let me put this in here 'cause I know he's not gonna tell it. This house is nice. It's very nice, but it is in North Huntsville. So we're on the complete opposite end of the city. This man has put me in the city now. We were in
Yep.
Virginia Beach. We're down, we're in South Huntsville, but we're still, it's still city, everything. Now we out here in the country.
Country.
Now, I
Country
will say,
road, take me home.
I will say that the church that we go to, okay, it's not really out in the country. It's just a little bit off of like, the main strip. But there are a lot of houses out there. And so I remember the first time we went to church, we took, instead of going right, we took a left. And there was like all these new developments and stuff. And he
Facts.
was just like, ooh, this is so far out in the country. I would never want to live this far out in the country. Well, guess where we are?
We in the country.
We in the country.
Country roads.
Yes. I'm
Take me
talking
home.
about there is
To
it's
a
always
place.
gonna be a Dollar General. It don't matter how much of the country it is.
There was.
It's gonna be a Dollar General there. So there's
They
a Dollar
shop there too.
General. There's a Dollar General. We went there today. So yes, it is a beautiful house. But I was raised in the country. So it's not
Facts.
like I mind. But I was like, you put me in the city and stuff, and now you're just gonna snatch me back out. And so now we're literally right now we're about a mile and a half from Walmart, 2 miles maybe from Walmart. Now we're only gonna be about maybe I guess five,
Five or
five or
six.
6 miles.
Five
But
or six.
I can't just like hop on the parkway and go anywhere. I mean, we're talking about back roads to get to like anything. But it's in a neighborhood. We're not out there by ourselves. It's a whole established like neighborhood out there. But yeah,
Yeah, and I think
but
that,
it's nice.
and I think that, like, I mean, that was just one hurdle, and I'm very fortunate for you, because you've been in the game, the real estate game, and everything, that I can ask questions,
Hmm.
and as you said, well, there's like, this is just the first hurdle, man. There's another hurdle and another hurdle after
Yes.
that, and so I've had to hold back my enthusiasm. I've
Mhm.
had to not tell my parents until just last week.
We're cross hurdle number two.
Right, and so you know I'm getting more and more excited, obviously, and cannot wait to be in a place where I can truly call home.
Yeah.
And I think that Alabama A&M is an outstanding university. Dr. President Williams has done a remarkable and wonderful job. The athletic director, Paul A. Bryant, um, is such a inspirational leader, and I enjoy working with him and under him, and learn a lot from him,
Right.
that this area makes us want to stay. And so buying a house is a significant part of anybody. I've spent years and years and years and been with, my ex, previous marriage, and didn't buy a house. And now I'm at this point with you where it's like, wow, we're in the final stages,
Mhm.
right? All we gotta do is close, you know, and we're there. So for us, it represents significance and stability, and I'm so incredibly happy. But to get to this point has been, like, it should be rewarding and it should be exciting. And I think that there have been times that have been exciting,
Mhm.
especially the second time around. The first time was extremely miserable and aggravating.
Yeah.
And so for me, this was the most rewarding thing, and it's been exciting. It's been a little challenging,
Yes. Yes.
um, but at the same time, rewarding, and cannot wait until we close.
And the home buying process itself is probably one of the most stressful
Facts.
um things that you can go through. I mean, it's like you say, it's supposed to be exciting and fun, and it is. Looking at the houses, going in, kind of putting your furniture here and there. Oh, we can do this, that.
Okay,
Really.
my bad, my bad.
Anyway, you place your stuff here, place your stuff there. That's the fun part. But then when it gets down to the contracts and the inspections and appraisals and all of that stuff, that's where it gets a little hairy. So you can't be thin skinned, when you're looking for a house. It can be exciting, but it's gonna take a lot of patience and a lot of work, and for us, a lot of negotiating to get where you want to be. But we encourage anybody, if it's something that you want to pursue, just go ahead and get your pre-approval letter when you're ready to start looking. Go ahead and get your pre-approval letter because they typically are good anywhere from 60 to 90 days. So you don't have to immediately. We were kind of in a rush because school is getting ready to start, in a couple of weeks. So we kind of wanted to be in a place. If we are going to buy a house this year, we wanted to be in before school actually started. Before his busy season got going. But other than that, you have like 60 to 90 days for a pre-approval letter.
Yeah, and I think that I've learned a lot through this particular process.
Mhm.
We have an outstanding agent.
Oh yeah.
Feel free, to leave in the comment section what agent and what agency, because I'm more than happy to give them a reference, and a letter of recommendation because I thought they did an outstanding job. I thought our agent is
Really good.
she's amazing, um, and it helps. I'm not saying the previous agent wasn't amazing. I think he was a great guy.
Mhm.
It just didn't work out, and
Yeah.
sometimes those things happen. But this agent has done a lot of great things. Been very communicative.
Very helpful.
So, for us that was huge. Um, and she's very much a family person. So that spoke volumes as well. When you're with an agent, you want them to kind of, I don't want to say be the same mold as you, or act like you. It was more or less like, hey, this is kind of what we're looking for from an agent, and she just kind of represented that particular aspect. And
Right.
she's been nothing but helpful. Like I said, five houses in one day,
Mhm.
four houses in the next day. Like, I mean, that's nine houses in 2 days, and really it was 10 houses in 4 days that she
Yeah.
showed us.
Yeah. It was a lot.
So um, I know you wanted off that roller coaster, but for some reason I kept pulling you back on.
Yes, he did.
So
And I'm glad he did. It was just I know in a couple of episodes back, we talked about how life was lifing. That's what was going on. We were doing
we were doing some life.
some lifing. And so
Yeah,
I was just tired at that point. I was like, I'm done. I have other stuff going on. I can't deal with this. So maybe it's just not, our time to get a house. But, like I said, it's always important to stay prayerful and and things always work out.
absolutely. So again, leave your comments. I know you
Mhm.
want to. Don't be shy. Don't be shy out there. Okay. Don't be shy.
Tell us
Leave.
your stories about the home buying process, and so we can compare.
Absolutely. But we're gonna close it out because, like everything else in our relationship, everything is
Worth
worth the
the
wait.
wait.
Have a great week.
See you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.